Hello everyone. Can everybody hear me and the music just fine at a good volume for both? I love acknowledging people. Hello Savannah, David, Melanie, Arlene, Rajesh, Joan, Carolyn, Brian, my bro who I seen last night after many years. Oh, it was a blessing. Christopher, Debbie, David, LaDonna, TM Garrett, my bro Ham, Sean, Dana. Everybody hearing everything just fine before we get into this broadcast. Good mix. Thank you, TM. Okay. So today, last night, the day before, hello Elwood, hello Lou, the day before, and the day before, and the day before, for a very long time. We look out into the world, we look out into social media world, and it's nuts. It's nuts. We would collectively agree with that. But we're going to talk about another place that exists beyond things being nuts. And that's where your power lies. But you will only receive your true power when we take responsibility for all of it. All of it. It is so disheartening to see people go at each other over the foolishness that is happening in this world. It's ripping us apart. Not only Americans, it's ripping humanity apart. Tonight we're going to talk about attachment to the world is what causes pain. Attachment to the world is what causes pain. I say this quite often as of lately. What one might think is happening in the world isn't. What one might think isn't is. Let's talk about the elephant in the room that no one wants to talk about. The truth behind it all. Well, Keith, that's your opinion. I try my best my whole life not to give opinions unless I am in direct conversation with someone jibber-jabbering about whatever. This is not about opinion. This is not about giving my side of things, because it's not my side. I just happen to play in the arena of what I have know now, and I know is absolutely stable to be the truth. I have information tonight to back that up. And my thought is, it's going to put all of us into a situation we cannot get out of until we solve the conundrum. Till we get out of the riddle. Till we get the aha, the God of it, the enlightenment of it. I am not here to talk about politics. I really don't care about politics. I don't care about Trump. I care about as a human being. I don't care about his office. I don't care about Hillary. I don't care about all that. I don't. It's not a judgment. I just don't put my eggs in that basket. I don't water that plant. I don't water that plant. Doesn't make me better. Doesn't make me special. I know by result. You will know them by the fruit. That because I don't lean into the nonsense, the noise of the world, I have peace. That is my fruit. And I'm offering you some fruit out of my fruit basket. Again, I want to make it clear, I am not here to talk about politics. There's something greater than politics and parlor tricks. It's called being able to see. Not being able to hear what we were told and follow it blindly. It's about seeing it for ourselves. Unsuffocating the heart. Unclouding the mind. One moment. Y'all like my pants? Attachment to the world is what causes pain. If you feel it appropriate, please feel free to share this to your wall. My listenership is getting greater as I am moving into the window of doing my ultimate passion of moving about the world as a master spiritual teacher. I have lots I want to share with you. I have lots I want to learn from you. And together we can expand ourselves beyond this illusion, beyond this conundrum, this riddle that is whipping everyone's ass. Everyone is getting their ass whipped right now. Maybe not everyone. I'm not. Everyone meaning the masses. And this is not picking on you. It hurts my heart. All right, let's get down to the presentation. Welcome, everyone. Again, I want to see who's here. It's one of my favorite things to do. I like acknowledging people. Wendy, Michelle, Neely, Melanie, Kenneth, Amy. All right. This presentation, attachment to the world is what causes pain. What you think is happening in the world isn't. What you think is not happening in the world likely is. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. And I'm going to say it one final time, and I'm going to clear myself of any responsibility, so to speak, of what comes out of me via my intention to tap into God. I have no idea how this is going to play out. I honestly don't. But you can bet I am in the insurance policy and the assurance of situation. That I'm going to go to bed just fine tonight and sleep very well. Go to youtube.com/Center of Light Radio and please subscribe to my page. Give me some thumbs up on some of my archived videos from Center of Light Radio. Leave me some comments. youtube.com/Center of Light Radio. Again, I am not here to talk about politics. I am here to tell you about spiritual law. And it does not exclude me and my life and the things I hold as sacred and dear from this outside world. My son, the people I love like you, as to why I'm sitting here now, pouring out my heart, my concern, my intentions, my life. Everything I hold is sacred. I am affected in my humanity, joining with everyone else, like everyone else, when we see attachment to the world and how it causes pain. Animal abuse, we've all seen the videos. Donald Trump, we've all seen both sides of it, left and right. But you can bet your sweet ass that both of the wings on that bird are owned by the same bird. That's all I got to say about that. And we also recently have come to see children in cages as immigrants. And before anyone, if you would play my game with me, leans into, yeah, but the reason is because, we can get to that in a moment. Children in cages. Just take that in for a moment. How does that feel? People in cages. As if we are zoo animals. It's not Keith's opinion. This comes from scripture from every walk of life. And for what I know to be true, from God-realized men such as Jesus, such as Buddha, such as Krishna, Paramahansa Yogananda, Swamiji Viswayogi, those beings I just named is automatically giving us a roadmap and a guide to the truth. And there's no way we can deny it. Can't shake it. Can't make it spin and fit into the way we want it to fit and use it to the way we want to use it when it's convenient, provided it serves our narrative and our agenda. So we have children in cages, people in cages. Well, Keith, we have fences around our house. Daycares have fences around their yard to let the children play so they don't get hurt. Is that really your example to me? Or to anyone to state your case about children being in cages? I'm not judging you. I'm just asking a very simple question. A very simple question. What is the difference between children playing in a yard at a daycare or children being held for a few hours near Mexico? I don't think anyone needs me to explain that to you. But I will. It's inhumane. It's embarrassing. It's degrading. It's hateful. It's not aligned with the truth. Because the intentions are different. Daycare is to protect. The fence around a daycare is to protect and serve and oversee something of a good nature. The innocence of children while they play. The other intention is, I'm going to treat you like a dog, a rabid dog, and put you in a cage. And everyone comes up with many, many different ideas to justify their belief system of how they think things should be. But guess what? The very people who think how they think things should be are grumbling the most, and they're getting exactly what they don't want. So they stay in the cycle of complaining. And it's not working. It's exacerbating the problem. So they're not a part of the solution. They're a part of the problem. The lyrics to the song that played at the beginning of this presentation on the chorus is, so let the love of God fall upon you. It's always been that way. It's time to celebrate who you are. Because you can bet when you let the love of God fall on you, it does not look like children in cages. When you let the love of God fall upon your heart, it does not look like people in cages. This is not my opinion. In fact, that you're hearing this presentation right now, on some level, you are absolutely agreeing with me. Why were you brought to this forum? To hear something you already know. If there's only one path to God, which I tell you there is, out of Christians, Sikhs, Muslims, Islamists, Hindus, Buddhists, Christians, there's only one path. If God is love, then it's about everyone developing themselves within to the depth of love that God is. If God is love, then it's about everyone developing themselves to the depth of love inside that is God. That's the law. There is no other path. Hearing and taking in what I just offered as a divine truth, hold that inside for a moment. If God is love, then it's about me developing myself within to the level of God that is love. Take that in for a moment. Hold that sacred space. Hold that sacred space. How it feels to know that we have to do the work to develop ourselves to the level of love that God is. Now, while you're holding that beautiful truth in your heart, think about children in cages. Does that serve your goal to reach your Creator? It does not. Animals are being abused. This presentation is not to weigh you down or make you feel bad. In fact, it's to lift you up and to empower you. And all it requires is a willingness to shift and see things in a different way, because attachment is what causes pain from responding to the world. The wall. Let's talk about the wall differently than you've ever heard it. I am so open to your questions. I am so open to your comments. I will not lean into the political arena. Though I've used a few words to describe the going-ons of it all, I have no intention to lean into that place. The wall. Not the political wall. The fact of the idea that one could be erected. Walls separate people. Don't we think it's time that we unite? All of us? How is that going to happen? By a wall. Keith, you don't understand. There are people coming into this country that shouldn't be, and they're killing people. Enter the white European man. No matter what you think, no matter what you believe, the truth is unwavering. Could this be said karma that happened from many years ago when the Indians were slaughtered? Time, my friend, does not forget. It's the overseer of infinity. It doesn't forget. Could it also be possible that the reason are flocking to other countries? Seems to me it's pretty obvious that it is a truth because it is happening. People are flooding London in England. People are flooding America. Why? Because they're in trouble. They want families just like you and me. They want to raise their children and their grandchildren. And they have no choice or recourse but to escape, to flee. Is it because we're living in a consciousness of separation as to why we are being mirrored the opposite of ourselves, because we're not doing it intensely nor on purpose, that we are having what's called a forced unity? Basically, God says, God damn it, I'm going to throw you together and you will learn how to get along. And everyone who is not with that program will be removed from the experience toward the future vision and absolute truth and fact forevermore of the prophecy of anchoring heaven and earth. The meek shall inherit the earth. And those people who are griping and yammering on and complaining and bitching, and they're living in the political arena, using that as their justification for their ignorance, you are going to be in for a rude awakening. And said karma can pay you a visit, and me a visit, and everyone who does not align themselves with the stability of the truth of heaven on earth. It's happening. Look out into the world. It's happening. Why is it happening? Not the superficial reasons. The true meaning behind the movement of spirit. Spirit is moving in all the good in the world. Equally, as we graduate higher and higher and we ascend, Spirit is moving in the world by those things that seem not so transcendent whatsoever. But the intention of both is the same. One, to unite you, even if it's forced, to give you the opportunity before the train pulls out the station. Or the other intention is still the same, which is there will be a coming together. Be a part of it on purpose, or you will be used as a pawn, like a pawn, in the theatrics of this play that we call Earth. Spirit is moving in the equally in the bad. God doesn't see things as good or bad. It sees itself embodied in all things. Take the label good, bad out, and you're left with God. You're left with movement. You're left with spirit. You're left with energy. You're left with fact. And we need to pull ourselves back and become detached from what we think is happening in the world so we can see clearly of what our best ploy is at any God-given moment. And it's not hunkering down on what we think is happening and how we got to fix it and we got to get this person out of office and put this one in and yammering and complaining. That is not the path to unification and a global humanity, nor the heaven on earth prophecy. One, notice how we feel when we hunker down on any of that mess. It feels awful. It feels God awful. The wall. I get it logically. We're here. They're there. Let's put up a wall. Keep everybody away from each other. Good idea. No. Again, this is not my opinion. This is all based on spiritual literature, whatever your chosen deity may be. It amazes me how anyone can think that they own land anywhere. No one owns land. You may have paid money to claim it as your own, but you don't own it. It doesn't belong to any of us. We didn't create it. So who or what did? The key question we could all pose is, what is the intention of said creator? Your heart already regulates to you that answer. What just moved through me is what I aspire to have live into my body and my being for the rest of my life. No one owns land. You may have paid money to claim it as your own, but you do not own it. We do not own any of it. So what did? The key question is, who or what did create it? This land. The question we could pose is, What is the intention of said creator? And the answer comes forth and it says, the future from right now, which is the prophecy of heaven on earth. That is the greatest passage of scripture in the Bible or any spiritual book that talks about a heaven on earth future existence. That's what the whole scripture is about. From the Old Testament to the closing of Revelation is about becoming the Christian, becoming the Christ as we follow our teacher to bring about heaven on earth. Close the book. You've read the entire Bible. That is what it's about. That is the purpose of your existence. To be a conscious participant in living in the garden where we came from, but here on this rock. So who or what did create this land? The key question we could all pose is, what is the intention of said creator? We figure this out and what the purpose and why the earth, the planet, but yet the earth, the ground, exists in the first place, and bingo, we now know spiritual law. Everything else is noise. It's noise. It's chaotic, incessant rambling about opinions and beliefs, and it's noise. And it walks us backwards towards the opportunity that sits before all of us, inside of us. Because the opportunity is not really before you. That's playing in the arena of the external world where the problem is. The opportunity lies within. The way out is in. The way out is in. The way out is in. So what do we do? That's a phenomenal question. I ask that every day of myself. What do we do? The first thing we do is we have to consider everything across the board is even. The playing field is neutral. There are no heroes and there are no villains. At the end of the play, everyone is going to bow in frivolity. The same thing that happened to the Native Americans a long time ago, when white Europe came over here. This is part of paying a karmic debt. And it will stretch however far across time it has to. Understanding that casts light on why this could be happening. Through that understanding comes clarity and promise and hope and allowance. Allowing the debt that was made to be paid. In so doing, America, so to speak, for this point, pays its debt to society, to the world. I did mention the immigrants are coming into America, and I also said England. Notice when I said white European, where did this all come from? Notice where the floodgates are opening for these immigrants to move to. I'm just posing very simple questions. From the Buddha, the Buddha's teachings lead us toward living a life with a compassionate and enlightened heart. Not only are they inspiring, but they also hold a truth which can change our perception for the better. What we can do to change the situation is change our perception for the better. Because when we lift ourselves above the problem, we take everyone involved with us. This parable is one of the texts that was originally recited and passed down orally for 600 years. before being written down. Then they were inscribed on palm leaves in ancient languages such as Pali and Sanskrit. The Buddha said, "You do not even see me. To see the Buddha, you must see purpose, the truth. One who sees purpose sees the truth." Indeed, those words of truth that can bring us to awakening, to be able to truly see what's happening in this seems like chaotic filled world. I choose one parable that was particularly of benefit. It's called Sand Castles. Some children were playing beside a river. They made castles of sand, and each child defended his castle, our land, and said, "This one is mine." They kept their castles separate and would not allow any mistakes about which was whose. When the castles were all finished, one child kicked over someone else's and completely destroyed it. The owner of the castle flew into a rage, pulled the other child's hair, struck him with his fist, and bawled out, "He has ruined my castle. Come along, all of us, and help me punish him as he deserves it," says that one. The others all come to his help. They beat the child with the stick and then stamp on him as he lay on the ground. Then they went on playing inside their sand castles, each saying, "This is mine. No one else may have it. Keep away. Do not touch my castle." But evening came. It was getting dark, and they all thought they ought to be going home. No one cared what became of his castle. One child stamped on his. Another pushed his over with both of his hands. Then they turned away and went back, each to his home. Every one of us is like the boys in this parable. We all build sandcastles, calling them mine, and we fight each other to protect them. But at the end of this day, we don't really care about the sandcastles we've built. We've destroyed them ourselves and go back home, thoroughly disregarding who we fought with. The castles can act as a metaphor for our opinions, beliefs, and possessions or people. We spend the rest of our lives defending them and fighting with others to protect them. Deep inside, we know that what we are fighting for is transient. However, our ego strictly forbids us to behold the true impermanent nature, even if we consciously accept that whatever we're fighting for is impermanent. In our unconscious state of mind, we behave out of ignorance. The defense mechanism we have for opinions and materials is insanely blind. Every person that we own is capable of turning us into a merciless monster. Every belief that we stand for can have us metamorphosizing into an arrogant and greedy being. Attachment to the world is what causes pain. Being attached to what you think is happening. What one might think in the world is happening is not. What one might think is not happening in the world is. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. We're attached to the animal abuse. That's why it keeps showing up. We're attached to the wall idea. That's why it keeps showing up, being erected, the possibility of. We are attached to inhumane treatment on levels we don't understand. And it's also karmic. And it keeps happening. So what we need to do is detach from it. I am not saying close off your heart. That is not, in fact, that is the opposite of what I'm saying. Because the only way your heart is going to open to do the most good and to bring the most light into the situation is to get out of the noise of it all. Children are in cages. I understand it hurts and touches your heart. It does me the same way. But it does not change spiritual law. Divine compassion says, I'm not here to fix you or change you. I am here simply just to love you. Even in the choices that you have made singularly as well as collectively. I love you, end of story. Now the story you keep writing for yourself/selves, I love you through it all. So we need to get on board with the divine program and the divine script and be as it is so we can bring about the greatest result in the low-lying areas of humanity. Said children in cages, said cats being punted like a football, said dogs being beaten by a bat, said erecting a wall. This is spiritual truth. What I read a moment ago was from Lord Buddha. But it's about becoming detached. It's not about being uncompassionate. In fact, because I am not so mired in the illusion, oh my God, this is happening, oh my God, this is happening. When these things happen, I fall into that very mode myself until I realize, whoa, oh my God, this is happening. And then I hold it into a sacred space. I don't plug into the news to find out more about it. I don't find the fake news on the internet. I don't go to YouTube to find all this noise. If I do any research at all, it's to empower myself. And I do my research very thoroughly. And through it all, I don't blame. I don't blame. I don't have to like it, what may be happening and by who it's happening from. I don't blame. Emotional detachment from the world is what is going to save the world. It sounds like non-involvement. That is farthest from the truth. It's involvement. Involvement. Involve. Evolve. Involve. I'm in, so I'm involved. And evolve. Energy in motion. We are expanding. And this is how we do it. Said Lord Buddha a minute ago. From Jesus. We know him, right? Like I said, this is not about politics. This is not about Keith being arrogant. This is about me bringing forth a sword of divine light and the truth to where we cannot escape the conundrum until we own up to the truth of it all. If you're a Buddhist, what I read you put you in check. Puts me in check. If you're a Christian, what I'm going to read you should put you in check. And I'm not taking things out of context to make them fit in my narrative. From Jesus. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, a cage. And you can't. Excuse me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came to me. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did I see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? And when did you see a stranger and invite you in, or naked and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and come to you? The king will answer and say to them, truly I say to you, to the extent that you did it to one of these brothers of mine, even the least of them you did to me. Matthew 25:35-40. And from Peter, I urge you, as aliens and strangers in the world, to abstain from sinful desires which war against your soul. What this means is Your desire can be likened to that attachment of what you think needs to happen, how it needs to happen, and the way that you want it to happen. That's attachment. That is want. That is desire. It is sinful, meaning mistakeful. It's going to lead you on an erroneous path. How are we ever going to have the strength as a collective if we keep putting off the prophecy of heaven on earth and becoming unified? We're falling into the narrative that does not serve anyone. Can we imagine what it's like? And it brings pain to my heart and absolute fear. But you see, I'm smart enough to know how to meander around it and through it. But for those who aren't, have done such work as I in this arena, in this field of spirituality, think of what it would be like to be separated from your loved one for any reason. In death, relationship breakup, your family being ripped apart. Doesn't feel so well, does it? It's scary. It's horrible. Why would we ever want to inflict that on people? Because we're afraid that they're coming into my country. That's not how the truth works. That is not how the truth works. I am afraid because you are coming into my country. So now I'm going to do something and project my fear back onto you. So you're the one that has to deal with it, not me. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. I am sorry. I don't mean to upset you or let you down. It does not work that way. Where does the initial fear rise from? Within me. People are coming into our country. Uh-oh, I'm afraid. So it risen within me. So who's responsible for that feeling? I am. But I don't want to own that shit. I'm going to cast it back out there into the sea and not take responsibility. That is not the path of the Christ. That is not the path of the Buddha. That is not the path of the Dalai Lama. That is not the path of your truest self. That is not the path. Well, maybe we can build the wall and keep them at bay long enough, at least till I pass away, and let future generations deal with that. I would be very careful if I were you, because your wish may be granted sooner than you think, because of said unconscious belief. At least if the wall is erected long enough, I may not be around. I may be protected as long as I live, and I'm okay with that. That's pretty powerful, dangerous karma you are asking for, my friend. So what do we do about the immigrants flooding America? And our early founders, not the forefathers, I'm talking about the founders, the explorers who came here and conquered America. And I use that word conquered. Came from Europe. So our ancestors who came from Europe stole this entire country from that which is already here, the Native Americans. Karma and time does not forget. Time does not forget. And I can say this because I am from the European part of the world. I'm okay with saying it. And look what's happening in England. Immigrants are flooding the country. Those same immigrants came over here. I mean, those same ancestors of ours came over here from Europe, came in America. And guess what? 2 countries in the world right now are seeing its ugly head rear itself. I'm just asking a very simple question. A very simple question. Attachment to the world is what causes pain. Divine compassion Stepping back from the animal abuse we see on social media. Divine compassion. Stepping back from the wall that we're seeing that's wanted to be erected. Whether you're in agreement with the wall or not, just step back with divine compassion. Stepping back what's happening about all the children and people in cages. I feel as you do on many levels. But I've learned to step back and hold it into a space, a sacred space of heart, love, and spiritual clear vision. And to affirm to myself, this too shall pass. Because it's not about changing this reality. That is not the truth of it. We're not really trying to change this reality. We're trying to get to the next rung of the ladder, where this reality simply does not exist. The higher reality exists. That is why it's called ascension. We ascend to a higher level. We don't change this place. This place is going to forever exist. We're not really per se changing the world. We're changing ourselves, which in turn lifts us up. Hence the word light. We feel lighter. Jesus was the light. Jesus ascended. You hear the spiritual movement, ascension. Everyone talks about God being high, so we have to lift up. All the metaphors, the angels are up. The higher level extraterrestrials are up. Wise up, lighten up. This reality will always exist. What we want is the next one, or the next few octaves higher. Heaven on earth already exists. Everything that has ever existed exists now, or ever has the potential to exist is right now. So the best thing we can do for the abused animals, the wall being erected, and the children being put in cages, is to leave it alone. By opening up your heart and seeing it from the divine eye perspective, the divine observer, and compassionately love it. Just love it. Because it is a beautiful flower, learning to become its fullness. Our attachment to the world is what causes pain on any level. What we think is happening is not. What we think is not happening is. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. As big as the elephant is, no one is really seeing the truth about it being in the room. They see it, but no one really wants to look. They just want to bitch and moan and complain. But we never are going to be able to eradicate this dimension, this reality. Animals being abused, the wall being erected, whatever side of the fence of politics you're on, and no matter your feeling about children being put in cages, this reality will always exist. Now what happens is, once we begin to change ourselves, we lift. And holding that vision, that divine compassion, that sacred space, as we view on social media animals being abused, all the atrocities in the world, including children being put in cages, and any other thing we can name. I'm not just picking on these three. Guess what happens? We lift those very consciousnesses up along with our ascension. Same as any spiritual teacher. Jesus ascended. And so doing, he left a message behind. And many people are grabbing onto their Christianity like they had never before. And guess what's happening? They're lifting. Jesus didn't lift this up literally. He left the message. And the message over thousands of years is coming into fruition. And people are beginning to lift. I am lifting. You are lifting. We are lifting. And in so doing, the children in cages, our vision about the wall or not the wall, the animals that are being abused and filmed and put on social media begin to lift. And along with our lift and being aloft, the very energies in those bodies, in the illusion of playing the game out on the earth that we think is so real, we take with us in that ascension process the abused animals, the children in cages, and everything else. And guess what? Once we all lift, it will all be forgotten from a space of pain and suffering and misery, because that is a choice, conscious or not. And when we all lift, it becomes a part of our collective human wisdom. It's how the story would have been told, so to speak. It's how the story of our past was told. This is how it happened. We're not trying to change this world, though I use those words a lot in my presentations because it's relevant in the sense that it makes sense to people. But the truth is, you can't change this world. This world, as we know it to be in its chaotic noise, is broken. It's meant to be broken as a school, as a lesson, so we can find the fire, the fervor, the want, the cojones to graduate. God is not going to come here and be your savior. If that would be the case, and God really loved us, we would not be in this mess. This is all our own doing, no matter what wing of the bird you own. It's the same bird that owns both political parties. I'm not trying to sway you from your political party. What I'm suggesting is you can be in your political position because that's how you deem things should move. But being so anchored and planted of how you think that allows the truth to move. Again, the truth is not about opinion. Jesus didn't give us his opinion. Let's get right down to, let's be real. If Jesus is your deity, then what Jesus has said is law. It wasn't law then. Jesus is infinite. The Christed soul is infinite. That's why it's called law. Laws cannot be broken. What we have down here on earth are called rules. Rules can be broken. That's why you go to jail. You cannot break a law. So if Master Jesus said something, it's for all time. What Jesus would he have put people in cages? The answer is no. And everyone who ever comes across this presentation would agree. In that agreement, there is no way out. Would Jesus have ever denied anyone? The answer is no. In fact, he still does not deny anyone. That being said, if we are Christians and we do the opposite, we're not following the path. That's what I mean when I say it's not about opinions. It's about divine truth and divine law. If you are a Buddhist and you follow what I've read from the Buddha, and you agreed back when, and you go against the teaching, you're not following your doctrine. The Bible talks often about oppression and how it's not right. Let's look at the definition of oppress. Keep someone in subservience and hardship, especially by the unjust exercise of authority. A system that oppressed working people. The dictionary is our resource for human language. You can't go against it. You can, But you will feel the dissonance that happens within you when you do. I don't have the answers, but I know what aligns my heart with bliss and truth. Because you will know them by the fruit they bear. And the fruit that is born without inside of me, by offering this presentation as my contribution and gesture to the ascension of a humanity that is in such a quagmire, is pure. My intention is pure. And my heart reverberates. And I feel the greatest levels of bliss flood my entire system as I sit here through this outpouring of my life. People hurt, and I hurt when I see people hurt. People hurt, and you hurt when you see people hurt. That is the divine way, because we are all in this together. Hence the word unity, which is infinite, but leads ultimately back to one God. Universe. Una meaning one, verse meaning song. Universe, one song. And that's how we make beautiful music as a world, is when we come together in harmony. We can listen to a love song, or we can stay locked into the blues. What I'm asking of you, my brother / sister, as warriors of light, because that's what you are, that's why you're hearing my voice. From now on, when you see someone, love them, of course, in ignorance, post something that counterpoints Jesus, Buddha, common sense, the definition, all these things about the truth. About animals being abused. I understand it infuriates you. I get it. But a response like that feeds the person who posted it. Oh, wow, I got attention. Attention is not what we want here. And it's not turning a blind eye, out of sight, out of mind, and it's also not closing off our heart. I'm asking you to look at it honestly. Animals being abused on a video. Watch it. But only if you're prepared to step back enough to where you feel in that moment it will not crush your heart. Look at it and divinely love it. And charge your life with a mission to move above it. Not in the push and shove it, of it. It does no good. Bless the situation. Bless the children in cages and the people in cages. And the people who are not allowed into this country or any country. Because as I said, whether you like the truth or not, the truth is not a salve, tincture, nor band-aid. The truth is an expander. It's an opener. Animals being abused, people dying, people being punished, people being held across by a wall, children in cages. Like it or not, people who die in car accidents, little children who get sick and die, famine in the world, disease all over the world. Karma and time never forgets. Never. Everything is birthed by previous action, be it by an individual or collectively. Those same people trying to get into America or England could be a batch, so to speak, of the same people who invaded America many, many years ago and took the land away from the Native Americans. So now they're here to see what it's like. So at the end of this life cycle, they can have the, aha, I understand now in an integrated way what I'd done so long ago via my ignorance. Children in cages. You don't have to like me. I'm okay with that. Time and karma does not forget, because it's not about this life. This earth was created with the intention of something being greater than the 85 years, if you're lucky, that you get to live on it. Because there were billions and billions and billions of people who lived on this planet before you did. And there will be billions upon billions of people who live on this planet after you. So it's not about you, me, the us on it that's here now. Time doesn't forget. Karma doesn't forget. Because Earth is a school, so to speak, that helps us all to graduate by completing with our nonsense. Things that have no sense, no currency, no value. People who live this plane have come in to only be here for a certain amount of time. We all prove that because no one gets out of here alive. Why are some people taken by automobile accidents? Why are some people taken by hunger? Why are some people taken by this, by that, by this, by that, by murder? This. There is a movement of energy that is beyond light and dark, good and bad. It's called fact. Cosmic fact. Cosmic truth. Because if it wasn't a fact nor cosmic truth, said energies would not be moving. The theatrical play is greater than you can possibly imagine. And we will see greater pieces and greater actors, and the play will have a far greater ending when we understand who is putting it on, who's directing it all. We truly sit in the audience and we watch the movie. We're observers. We detach from the world, because living in the world can only cause, attachment of the world can only cause pain. You're not attached to the movie when you go to the theater. It may move you, but you're not attached to the drama. At the end of the movie, you love the villain as well as you love the hero. Go watch a DC Marvel Comics movie and see if you don't love the villain just as much as you love the hero. This is the truth of it. Dana, thank you, dear. Blessings. So what I am offering is my heart, my life. A solution to the problem. Is simply, just don't be a part of the problem. Let the world yammer on. Let the world bicker. Let the world post what they post. Lift them up. Because when they do the things they do, we automatically, even sometimes mostly unconsciously, go to unforgiveness mode and we judge it. That is not part of the ascension process. The person who did that horrible thing to that dog or that cat, yes, it moves me, but I forgive them because they are ignorant. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Get out of the noise, please, for your sake. And for your next experience, whatever reality you choose to be in. And the people you love that you would like to see shift with you. The animals that are being abused, the children that are kept at bay, and the people that are kept at bay by said wall that could go up, people are kept in cages. It's karma. It's happening because it's true. Something needs to play itself out to be complete with, so the experience itself could ascend. That's why when someone tells you a riddle, if you don't get it, they have to repeat it a few times until you say, ah, I get it. So there's no point of you telling you the joke. The soul that lives in said abused animal will move on. It's only the body. It's the world of the transient. The children and the people being kept at bay by a said future wall. The world is transient. One day it will no longer exist. The spirit will graduate and move on and use these experiences as wisdom. The children in cages, and whatever event that's happening in the world, the school shootings, yes, it's horrible. We keep you saying that because it's not hit home to you or touch close to home for you. I pray every day, just like you, that I accelerate myself into ascension, that I've done my work, and I'm also dissipating much of my life karma by contributing to the world as best I know how, and fully, fervently, every day of my life. I live in this mode. This is not a bragging point for me. I'm asking you to take my hand, take my heart. Let's join in forces and shift and lift and sift out all the noise and become quiet. The world is a noisy place. Let's listen for the silence through the gate that is open. And once we find our own way, then we can take everyone else by the hand and heart and say, please follow me to the land, to the kingdom. The earth was created for everyone. You step back off of this planet in a rocket, you don't see the lines of the states dividing the country. You don't see the lines dividing the countries. In fact, you back up far enough and all you see is a blue jewel floating in space. If you ever visited the earth and it was your first time, you would not know all the riffraff and all the warring and all the discord that's happening. You saying, oh my God, this has to be a unified utopian world. It is just so beautiful from my perspective, because I'm backed off. So when we take that backing off perspective, guess what we see? We see a beautiful world. The name of Lavender Soul's last album, when I played the opening song, perfect in every way. Beautiful world when we back off far enough to see it as beautiful. It changes the fucking world because we're changing our fucking selves. That's what's happening. As that song, perfect in every way, said in the chorus, let the love of God fall upon you, for it's always been that way. It's time to celebrate who you are, perfect in every way. And when we step back and become the ownership of said perfection, we will then begin to see everything else as noise, nonsense, and folly. And the divine consciousness that will begin to live inside of your being will no longer see animals as abused, but as divine compassion and holding a sacred space of love. And children being separated from their parents who are trying to get into America, we will hold a divine space and sacred vision as love. This is the path of the Christ. This is the path of the Buddha. This is the path of any spiritual teacher that has ever made an impact in this world, as to why any said religion would be formed around their love and their presence of visiting this earth. If we want to walk the path, if I were chosen deity, it's not the cages that need to be opened up. It's the heart. It's the vision. I understand through all you being upset that your intention is beautiful. And I'm not even in far as saying that in your intention, even though you're upset about what's happening in the world, that there is not a burst of light. What I am saying is purify that intention. Increase that intention. Put some power behind it by becoming clear and seeing things as the truth. God is moving throughout everything. Then you will become the meek, the Christ, the Buddha, and most effective, you will become the warrior of light you were placed here to be. Yanava, it is complete. I will always love you. Live in that light. Bring light of awareness to that which is dark, and simply, it will dissipate. Bring the light of your love and awareness to that which could look so horrible, and bless it and love it. And the light of your awareness will make the darkness flee from you. And your world and everyone around you will ascend. And we will reach the next layer, the next level, the fifth dimension, the kingdom of soul. This is the truth. Live in it. And you will forever live in bliss and in eternal peace, because everything else is noise. It's not for me, because I see the elephant in the room. When you're closed-minded and closed-hearted, when any of us are, we can't see the elephant in the room, leaving the opportunity only for us to be squashed by said elephant no one is really talking about. Be silent.